So,
Morty just like puts on like a little beret and like a little like mock flag. He's like, nah, yeah, them foreigners, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I
oh,
want to talk to the brewer as we're rolling the barrels out.
and Styx was heading to talk to Hastus after a little bit. Probably after this.
Hastus is there digging up a well.
Oh, never mind. He wouldn't
But
go
he
to
did.
Hastus because I just got new information. Never mind. So go on with your
Alright.
thing.
Right. So Julian's going to go and talk to the brewer. The brewer is asking for Julian and Ricky, if Ricky's around. Ricky's help on rolling the barrels.
Ricky is nowhere to be seen.
Ricky's nowhere to be seen. Marvelous. So Julian, it's you and the brewer.
Yep, I'll help him roll out the barrels.
Excellent. Can I have a strength check and a dex check, please?
Yeah. I do believe those were like two of my dump stats. Oh well.
You may want to fetch Hastus.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Strength and dex.
You
Yeah.
may not want to chance it.
Dex is actually
Oh, that's not bad.
depends.
Okay. All right. Between you and the brewer, is the one positive thing you muse about Venson is it is actually pretty much flat as a pancake, which actually makes the rolling of these not too bad. And the brewer is a fairly kind of both rotund, but he's got massive arms and his kind of brute strength and your sort of his kind of natural kind of poise and knowing a dance step or two ensure that sort of after a sweaty couple of hours, after which Julian is no doubt his handkerchief is wringing wet with from your brow. Nevertheless, the task is done.
As we're doing it, I will say, so that was overall quite a lucrative little venture for you.
Yeah, it was all right. I think the chap soldier running this place seems to be sensible, which is good. So, yeah, that was all right. Yeah. So we were going to have a chat about you having a job here. I've got plans, you see. See, I'm going to. There's a forest not far from here. I've been told. I was going to hire a couple of the men here about with a few axes, and we're going to get some wood. And I was thinking, build like a lean-to, turn it, use the, get a few tables and maybe, you sing a song or two and, well, maybe I might cut you in for a percentage. What do you say?
That would seem most profitable.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking too. So, well, you can seem to hold a tune well, little fellow. So I was thinking, say 20%.
Make it 25.
Done. Spits into hands. There we are, little fella.
I spit into mine and I shake his hand as well.
Right. All we need to do now is find a couple of chaps with some axes they can swing and get us the wood. I was gonna talk to a soldier chap about using something he's got, but they're building that other thing. I'm guessing it's gonna be a store for grain, which is great actually, because we're gonna need some of that.
Indeed. your establishment picks off, you might see yourself needing to pick up new tools.
Well, there is that, but one step at a time.
Well, it may be an idea to preempt that, considering that the populace here seem quite deterrent from drinking water on its own.
So what are you saying then?
I'm saying that Hastus, or as you call him, the soldier chap, might well be requesting your services sooner rather than later.
Hmm.
And in larger quantities if this first batch has proven successful.
Oh, it'll be alright. Yeah, it's not my best, but it's alright. Yeah.
Oh, I don't doubt that it is a perfectly good beverage. I simply state how well it will be received with the populace, how popular, so to speak. Whether simply popular or very popular.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I'm not being bold enough. Maybe you're right. I think big. Yeah. Well, what better way to do that than by sampling some of it ourselves, eh? How about you? I'm quite parched.
I'd say so myself.
Right. Here's a barrel that I didn't sell him.
Ah, very astute.
Yeah. This is the second barrel. So this will be some of the better stuff. You don't want the first barrel and you don't want the last.
And yet the second barrel, when you just have the process down just right.
Yeah, well, it's the way stuff works, you see. Yeah. And he cracks open on top of the barrel, gets a couple of tankards, sloshes one to you.
I take it.
Hmm?
I raise a toast to a most profitable venture.
Aye, profitable ventures, whatever that means.
Lots of money.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. Lots of money.
And I'll
Okay, and you'll
toast him and drink.
drink. It's actually pretty good. It's better than average, you'd say.
Julian looks actually surprised.
Yeah.
Positively surprised.
This, you know, this would be reasonable stuff in the place where you would go to with your lord. It wouldn't be the best stuff, but it'd be reasonable stuff.
Yeah.
So, based on that, maybe his price wasn't, you know,
That off.
well, yeah, it feels actually like maybe, you know, yes, maybe there might be a negotiation in future, but not necessarily the direction that people are. Yeah. So. Okay. Okay, fine. Hastus,
Yes.
you've got your 6 barrels delivered.
Yes.
What else are you planning to do this fine day?
Well, he'll make sure the sentries are posted, or they've got a sentry schedule for his men.
You kind of glance up at the sky. It's a clear sky. It's a slight, very minor chill in the air, but the sun's not quite midday, but it's getting on the way and it's warming up, and yeah, it's okay. And even some of the mud looks like it's beginning to dry a bit. Things looking up.
Estus is pleased. Now
Then
they have beer.
Indeed. Then the wind changes direction and the contents of the latrine hits your senses.
Estus just kind of goes, ugh. That's the next goal.
At the corner of your eye, you get a glance on this barn with pretensions of grandeur, and you're pleasantly surprised. You thought that they'd be quite delayed because of the work on the well, but they seem to have made good progress.
Estus wonders if one of his new companions had anything to do with that.
Who knows?
Who knows, indeed.
Okay. Alara. Yeah, it's a nice, crisp morning. It is a fine day. Probably the best day it's been for a few weeks now. It would be your guess.
Okay.
Been a lot of rains.
Yep. Well, Alara is quite theoretically fond of inside. She's been in the wilderness for some months.
Yeah.
There's that little bit of inside, and she liked that. Well, she does, of course, like outside as well. She is very interested in getting inside again.
Yes. Although...
So, yeah, likely housing is going to be on her mind, unless somebody is going to come and ask her to do something.
Well, you've had some time to probably set something, kind of part tent, part kind of rough lean-to. Along with the glass, there was actually some, once you kind of went, you and Asana went across the rocks, there was actually quite a bit of scrap. Not anything that's good enough to kind of make something permanent, but in terms of kind of a temporary kind of, lean-to or, shelter, etc. Certainly good enough for that. You also come across just some kind of metal, bits of metal that have been kind of mangled. It's like something fell from that ridge down here. So
okay.
So you've got, you've had some time. You've got the means between Asana and yourself to have, made something that would certainly be more hospitable than just your tent. And having glanced inside of Venson, there's barely room enough to swing a vole, let alone a cat. And the cliff on the ridge does provide you with a degree of shelter.
Yes. Though in time, she would be quite fond of like an actual building.
No, I agree, but there, it does actually. Asana's pointed out they do actually look like they're actually building a building in there now, which is interesting. it will be the first one if it is what they do.
Yeah.
People come to the town. It's like, oh, that must be their town hall. No, just where we keep the food. Much more important.
Absolutely.
Well, if the brewer and I have anything to say about it, the second building going up will be a fucking tavern.
Yeah. Well, if you wanna, actually, there might be some problems with that, but of course, nobody knows about that yet.
Indeed.
Unless you
So-
ask around, of course. There was a bit of a spectacle earlier.
So, does Alara wish to do anything this fine day?
She's probably going to start exploring the immediate area.
Okay. All right.
People have mentioned mapping, so
Yeah.
Check for that.
she might consider at least figuring out.
Yeah, I think Hastus probably during the journey mentioned that they'd
The local area.
done some exploration around here.
Oh wow.
So there might be a starting point.
Okay, so I just made the best law check I've made in the past few days.
Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah, so it'd probably be worth getting a view on kind of where they got to, and then going from there.
Oh yeah, that's right. Elves don't have sclera. They just have the pupil.
So
Pathfinder.
you can either start exploring yourself, Alara, or you can potentially go and confer with Hastus to confirm what they've explored to date.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Okay, marvelous.
How tall is Hastus?
He is. I think he's like 5'11".
Oh.
Let me
I'm
check.
taller than Hastus.
I
Yeah,
was
he's
just like
5'11".
thinking him as like a monster of a man that was like this big, huge bodybuilder, basically.
He's very
Yeah.
broad.
Yeah, he's 5'11" and rather broad.
Well,
No,
let
he's
me
fine
just make him shorter real
He's-
quick.
He's definitely not. He's definitely not
Oh.
muscle bound. He's strong,
There we go.
but not muscle bound.
He's built like an athlete.
There we go.
And he can hit you with a sword really hard.
Yeah.
What is consistency, and how do you have it between characters?
Hey. Okay. So, Lara, you gonna go into
Yeah.
Brave Vincent and its latrine wasps?
Yeah, I'm not
It's
fond
just-
of that.
It's 60 pitiful humans huddled together for protection and covered in miasma.
Yeah. And squatting over a.
Few barrels of beer.
Not yet, they're not. And they're spending most of their time squatting over a latrine, buzzing with flies.
Mm.
So Lara, you kind of make your way through this kind of settlement of down at the heel kind of tents for the lucky few. For most, it looks to be just shacks made out of a mixture of straw and scrap wood. There are a few children running around playing. A lot of fairly kind of miserable looking people. Some of whom definitely look hungry. There's quite a few pots, small pots kind of being tended that have bones and other things bubbling along in them.
Stone soup.
Yeah, that's the one. Great story. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a few things of note. There are near the centre. There are two kind of large pavilion tents. One looks quite practical and kind of heavy canvas. The other one looks entirely less practical, but quite gaudy. You're guessing at some point it might have even been some kind of cream and crimson kind of stripes. But the tent is kind of mostly a wreck. Had an awful lot of patching done to it. Those two tents kind of dominate the centre. There is a largish tent in the kind of northeast corner that seems to have a little bit of an area of its own. And then in the northwest, there's a series of kind of wooden shacks that are kind of connected. There's some steam rising from one of them and the smell of alcohol. The only other thing of note is that there's some digging that's being done, and some men who seem to be tying some rope to a bucket, and what looks to be the beginnings of the frame of a barn.
Okay. Just for reference, I have a number of skills that may be helpful for just knowing what's going on. I can't remember what. I remember I spread out my professions as opposed to took them all in one spot. I know construction was one of them. Farming, construction, and herbalism. I don't know if they're right. I didn't have a list on in front of me at the time.
Fair enough.
But yeah, yeah, well, do I know where Hastus is likely to be? Can I ask around?
You can see one of those soldier types seems to be standing outside of the kind of the more sturdy of the two pavilion tents. Might even be standing on guard.
Okay, I will go up to him then. And say, I seek the young Hastus.
Inside.
Does he say that implying I can go in, or?
Yeah, he kind of gently nods his head.
Okay, I will go in.
He seems fairly relaxed.
I will go in.
Okay. Hastus, what will you be? Might potentially at this point be musing over the barrels.
Yeah. He's probably prepping something for those sick people to eat
Okay.
and drink. Yeah, he'll have to go around and see if anybody else has caught anything. So he's there, basically, working with his healer's kit and some food. Meager. He'll look up when someone enters. Yes?
Young I think young. How old is Hastus Pierre?
He's fairly young. He's definitely a young man.
He's got quite a like Alara though. His face is quite weather beaten, so he's definitely kind of already lived life a bit. So he probably looks a bit older than he actually is.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
If I'm lucky, I get 10 years older than I am.
You're... what's your name?
50, 49, Alara.
Yep, Hessa says Alara, right.
Yes.
No? What brings you here?
I seek, direction, as it were.
Huh? There's, we have quite a few irons in the fire, so to speak.
Mm.
I believe, yesterday I was looking around to see if I could find you. We just sent a expedition out to go gather that grain that, I think it was Asana
Yes,
spotted.
of course, I did notice.
Yeah. I was thinking your help would be invaluable for that. But if you're not interested, there's other things as well. He'll think about it for a second and then motion towards probably like one of the only solid tables in the settlement where a map is pinned down. Nice and open. It looks well used.
And heavily inaccurate?
More like it had more than one contributor. And also they wrote notes on it. We haven't really mapped our surroundings too well. And additionally, I'm waiting on Amelie to return from her mission to the Gnarl Marches. She is our go-between, I suppose. The truce between us has been maintained so far. So long
I
as we
don't
abide
think
by
I
our
would know.
agreement.
The Null Marches?
Yes, the thick, old-growth forest in that direction. Hastus motions towards the tree line she may or may not have seen. It's fairly close to the settlement, actually.
It's not visible from the settlement.
Okay. He says,
Yeah,
yes, in that
'cause-
direction, about a day's travel. There's a big
How
swamp
big are these
slash...
hexes?
12 miles square.
Okay.
Hastus says, in about a day's travel in that direction. There's a large, temperate forest. It's huge, heavily undergrowth, full of fae. And other wild things.
Alara would know that if it is only a day's travel, the map's wrong.
Mm.
It would
That's
mean
just
that the settlement would have to be closer to where the forest is than the map implies.
Hastus
Days
says, I
travel
have
on
some-
foot or on horseback?
On foot. I have some scouting notes here from when I had a moment to take a stroll around, so to speak. And Hastus will show basically where these numbers are, or where he took a 10-day journey to explore the surrounding area. And I have the notes on that right here. So they're a bit off-kilter now, but they pretty much get the idea across. So let's say if Venson was in the middle of this hex, then basically he's explored all 6 hexes immediately around it, and 3 of the ones to the left. If Venson is where 1 is, then here's the information elsewhere.
That makes sense to me. And your experience in the wilderness is how much?
Well, before we settled here, we traveled around this area for 2 months at the least. At least. Fighting Fae and hobgoblins from the south, and all manner of other nasty things. Before your time, there was a fairly powerful bandit lord here, and he made some sort of alliance with the Fae creatures within the forest to become one of them. We killed him and put a stop to his raiding of caravans traveling through the area.
At the
It was
back
already
of
dangerous enough without him.
At the back of Hassus's mind, there was a thought of Melina saying, "We, really, we."
What do you mean? Okay. So like, if you'd gone into the forest alone, you would have been totally fine. And reconsecrating the temple definitely didn't have anything to do with it. Jerk.
Hey, we're the ones that killed him.
Jerk. Can't downplay the team.
You
Anyway,
guys sent
Hastus.
word ahead to him while me and Emily just assassinated
You can stop
him.
now.
Okay.
Everyone's dead.
Yes.
Astus is the only one left alive.
Yes. Well, Emily.
You can just let it
Melina,
lie now. I don't know
Clay.
about Emily.
Let it lie with the
Nina,
rest of the
I don't have
party.
a problem. Everybody, Clay left, and he's basically dead. He's dead to Hastus. He was dead to Hastus before he even left. So,
That is good.
anyway.
Are you feeling it, guys?
Hastus looks like he gets lost in thought for a second, Alara. He goes, "Where was I? Oh, right. Beat the shit out of the Stag Lord." There was a temple to Erastil within the forest, and we were able to reconsecrate that with help from an allied cleric of Torag. Wonder where she's gotten off to. Anyway.
Yes, I'm surprised. A settlement like this, you should almost nail the cleric to the ground.
Well, there was a bit of a disagreement between us once we defeated the Stag Lord. I wanted to settle here, and my friend wanted to settle between the 2 rivers to the south. And, well, basically, he got the cleric, and I got this. Not
This
the most
is implying the
great
map.
Yes, Hestus will show, and he's like, "This is not exactly to scale."
Oh.
As a means of understatement.
Yes, well,
The settlement they call
you're
Serendipity.
12 miles too far if you want to be. If it's a day's travel.
Yes. Fair bit too far. We'll have to redraw this, but this is it's useful to keep this for now at least until we have explored more thoroughly. This is basically the travel map we used when we were on the warpath against this bandit lord. Where'd that go anyway? Did it disappear or hide? He'll just draw the path they took and how it definitely took them at least 2 months just traveling.
Is that light brown line?
No, those are game trails that circle the area. They were how the Stag Lord they were what the Stag Lord used to keep his troops mobile, even though they lacked horses. They allowed him to cut through the forest and also points a natural crossing on the rivers.
Do you want me to just draw a rough way how we traveled for him? Oh,
Nah.
No, Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Any maps you guys have done, I'm assuming, are false.
They're flawed, but they're not false. Which Hasta says, we definitely did meet these people in these regions.
Yeah.
And he'll point out Tiresias Grove within the forest, and the old temple, the lakes, the rivers, the barrow of the fallen king, the fallen Tiger Lord, the lake beyond that, and the mountain range. Down to the south, the Lizardmen settlements. I'll say around here we encounter some hobgoblins, so south of the barrow of the fallen king.
Cool. All looks fairly workable.
If you wanted to keep exploring, that would be much appreciated. But right now I have to make sure the settlement doesn't fall apart. It's teetering on the edge, as you may have seen. Things are looking
So
up.
do you want more accurate mapping? Or...
Most definitely. We already have a fairly good sense of what the surrounding area generally looks like. There's steppe here and plains here. Mountainous, hilly region between the two rivers. Lots of swampland and forest here. A point as necessary. So the Kame lands down here are the steppes. And between the two rivers, plenty of hills. Hasta says, it occurs to him that this place doesn't actually have a name, like the region, but he just keeps calling it Two Rivers.
Yet there are clearly three.
That one flows in a different direction than is depicted on the map. But it's useful to write it, it's useful to draw it that way. Because beyond here is Miven, down south, and people generally follow the road up and have to cross a river. But Hastus believes the river flows more south directly. So these two rivers are the only ones that are really parallel. He thinks they flow down from the mountains, if the lake is anything to judge by. And then he sort of starts talking even more than usual about how eventually he'd like to get an aqueduct system running from the mountains to Fort Serenko. Or Fort Levenko here. But that is a pipe dream at the moment.
That would be quite an undertaking.
Indeed.
Likely taking years of skilled work.
Yes, and we don't even have a single stonemason. But a man can dream. A man can dream.
Yes.
Anyway, what appeals to you?
Well, mapping is always something I can do. It is dull work, but it has its uses.
You may find it slightly less dull in these lands. Who knows what you'll stumble across. Ah, yes, one more thing. I'll motion in and lean in conspiratorially. Over here, in particular, we believe there was raw gold veins. Like pure gold veins in this area. At least one we stumbled across in our travels. I'll motion to this region generally, or closer to the rivers. My friend between the two rivers is probably racing to claim that for himself. But I think we have the better claim. And of course, we can always share. If you could locate
Money
that.
has a way of... Sorry, go ahead.
If you could locate that, that would be a major boon to the settlement. We've yet to receive our first trading caravan, even though that's what our charter sets us up as, a trading post. But if we could have some raw capital to use to barter, that would be useful. Gold tends to be quite good at that. Quite good at that role.
Very well, I will do my best to locate such supplies, surplus location. Do you have any skilled miners?
No, but that is why cooperation with my friend between the two rivers, Yasin, his name. That's why it would be useful. We had a couple. The two dwarves that we saved from the hobgoblins down here, below the barrow, they came from a dwarven settlement that was integrated with this place in Galt, called Azurstone, which is where the young Andoran comes from. Do you know about the revolution and the Grey Gardeners down in Galt?
No,
Well,
unless I do.
they're killing all their nobles, essentially.
Oh.
And Andoran was part of a noble family, so he's now a refugee from his homeland. Anyway, there's a settlement of dwarves there, and the priestess of Torag, who helped us reconsecrate the temple to Erastil, she came from there, and she was looking for a place to resettle her goodly folk. And my friend Yasin offered it between the two rivers because of the hill land. Dwarves, these dwarves, or dwarves in general, I'm told, are quite skilled miners. So they would probably be able to assist us in extracting the gold from the earth.
Yes, no doubt.
That's just a stereotype that is.
Who knows? They could be hill dwarves and know nothing about mining.
I feel like dwarves should get completely offended by the assumption that they're all miners, but then they actually end up all being miners anyway.
And also they get offended if you think they aren't miners. You think I'm not good at mining?
Let's just face it, dwarves are always looking to be offended so they can fight something.
Hastus
Like
can
Groby Rock
completely
Elves.
corroborate this, because the only dwarf that he's known, aside from the dwarves they saved from the hobgoblins, was a total jerk. Just selfish and snide and condescending.
Sounds like a dwarf.
He was a greedy little bastard. He loved his gold and precious metals, even when they were traveling on the road and had no use for them. Like, nobody was going to accept them as payment for anything. And yet he's like, oh man, we need all this money. Even though it's heavy as hell and it takes time to extract. Hastus mutters about how he wanted to pick some gold leaf off the tomb of the Barrow King. Now, that's ridiculous. And then they collected up the bones of these skeletons with gold welded onto their bones, and they wanted to sell that. And he was like, "We don't have a sack big enough." They tried anyway.
Dwarves.
He was always looking to make. He was always looking to extract the most value out of everything he ran into. Monetary value. Spiritual value. Even though he was some kind of forest priest guy who could turn into a bird. Something Saren. Hassus checks his nails.
Oh god, I just remembered what Ego told us about him. Ugh.
But
God.
the forest orgies?
Yes.
Saren is a promiscuous god. Hastus doesn't believe it. That man couldn't charm a boot into bed.
Mm. So you would like mapping, or would you like me to find these gold veins?
Well, we're probably gonna have to map in order to discover it, because our maps are inaccurate, and we accidentally stumbled upon it. But if you could go in that direction, that'd be useful.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
My rough estimate, how long do you reckon it'd take? How long do I think it would take me to map a hex?
So that would very much depend upon the nature of the terrain and how quickly you could move around in it. So obviously in your case, because I believe you get on fairly comfortably with rough terrain, is my memory serving me correctly?
Yep.
Then you would certainly be a very good candidate to choose for such an undertaking on that basis. Just bear with me, and I will. So I will. IMU the answers.
Cool. Yep. Nasa says, thanks for wanting to contribute. We definitely need all the help we can get.
Yes, well, I was given a stake in this, so I may as well make it worth something.
Yeah. Okay. I'll be right back.
Okay.